Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5350.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve amendment to policy 5350.
Second.
And I would like to say something. I'd just like to say that we've come a long way. This is a student suicide prevention policy, and we're adding some instruction to students about suicide prevention. It's sad. That's all I can. It's heartbreaking, but it's very necessary, as we all know. Okay, motion and second on the floor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then we have number 8600.
I make a motion that we approve the amendment to policy number 8600.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is passed. Okay. Now we have the adoption of the Putnam County School District Department Policy Number PD 4591. And that, Travis, am I correct? That involves our handling of autistic students?
It's a policy to protect ASD students related to law enforcement activity.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve policy PD 4591.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So this has passed. Okay, now we have Ms. Vicki Roach would like to come speak to us about a fundraising idea.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for taking your time this morning. My name is Vicki Roach. I have, today I'm here as a concerned citizen. I'm not here as a school board employee. And so I have a different hat on this morning. And so I took a personal day off when Mrs. Criswell last week requested she needed some more information about this fundraising program. So that's where I'm here. So I'm not an advisor or coach in any means of any sports with Putnam County Schools. So this is a unique fundraising opportunity for our schools. It's called United Games, and it's a program that allows nonprofits, including public schools, a fundraising program that provides funds by simply just sharing a free family app. Okay, and you're able to play with live sports games. And I heard about it this past summer, and I thought, oh boy, my family's sports-oriented fanatic, so I thought this would be a lot of fun. And so then as I learned more about the program, they had a nonprofit piece to it. And I thought, oh my goodness, the schools are always needing money. And I've been working with my family's McGMO, which is a golf for charity for cancer, for 20 years and helped them raise $1 million. So I thought, we work really hard. So this would be a simple, opportunity to check out. So I did. So it is a free app, but rest assured, all right, the students and the adults in Putnam County would not be wandering around parking lots and cemeteries, looking for Pokemon like they did this crazy summer. So it's nothing like that. But I have to admit, I'm a little bit confused with the need for me to even be here because it's not ever going to be loaded at any school computer. You cannot even load it on a computer. It has to be on a mobile device that's attached to a telephone number. Okay, so it's nothing to do with school and computers whatsoever. So, and it falls, as far as the documentation I gave her last week, it does fall within the school board policies where no coach or advisor is making any compensation. And the company, since it's free, there's no profit that the company's making off Putnam County Schools or any nonprofits, okay, because it's free for us. So she referred to something about in her email that she received that our auditors are monitoring our practices. So, like again, in the contract it states with United Games that I provided everybody, there's no student or advisor or coach that will handle any of the money. And so what happens is they just send you a check, the nonprofit, once a month. Okay, so that's where the monies come, so no adults touching the money. And this could be really, rest assured, for fundraiser or for auditors, because there's no selling of cookie dough, candles, and all these overpriced things that the schools, send kids out to do. And I know several instances that, my fellow colleagues have paid cash for these items, and they never got the items because the child was tempted to do what with the money, I'm not sure, but it never got to the coach like it was supposed to. And the other question she had was about the terms of use, and I get that. And there's, like I said, again, I state that there's no apps that are going to be downloaded to a school computer because, it's just got to be downloaded to a mobile device. So those are the questions that they had. So basically, the mission of this company is they wanted to, put a new mission in. So they wanted to democratize the way mobile games are marketed. Instead of the traditional mass media advertising strategies, they wanted to reward nonprofits. And actually, one of the leaders of this company was a soccer coach for high school for 14 years, so she knows how hard it is to raise money. So that's kind of their mission. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and show you a little bit how it's going to work. All right, so again, there's no whatsoever product. Okay, and it is a mobile app. It is not anything that you might think of as fantasy sports. All right, now here's the crazy amount of downloads and daily revenues from these crazy games that people are playing. And I'll be honest with you, the only game I've ever played with my grandson is Subway Station, and he beats me at that. So I'm not really familiar with a lot of these games, but they're out there. So they wanted to share with the profits, all right, I guess you'd say, the funds that they take in with nonprofits. So you can just see these, slides to show the huge market out there. So what it is you interact with a live football game. Currently, it'll be NFL, and it's being able to be downloaded this week. All right, and so what happens is they will add other sports as it goes on. But like if you're a Packer fan or Dallas fan or whatever the fan might be, you're able to interact during that game. So again, it's got to be on a mobile phone, or if your iPad has a telephone attached to it. And all you're going to do is download it, and then what happens is when that is downloaded to your phone, you have to go to the App Store, and there's also there was a pre-registration process, which is about up this week, but over 1 million pre-registered people have already downloaded or set to download this app. And so what happens is they'll go to the App Store and they'll type in a code. And for instance, that code could be IHS Rams or PHS Wrestling or Price Pride or whatever the nonprofit might decide to call it as, that's going to attach them to that app. And then what happens is when players that participate in these games, all right, they're going to get what they call tokens, and then they participate in this game, and then the schools or nonprofits will create revenue from them doing that. And that's all it is. It's free, it does not cost anything. And then what happens is when they share the app with other friends and family, then the schools or the nonprofit that's tied to, that code, the schools again will create a stream of funds just from sharing that app. And it's a family-friendly app also. Okay, so that's what happens, and then what happens later on, then they, there's different levels of it, and then it will continue to be free if they want to go ahead and watch a few little commercials or ads like they're used to do in all these other games. Okay, so that's the free part. And then, so basically, they just download the app with a code. The school creates a fund from that. And then what happens is the company sends the monies directly to, all right, the schools. So there's never any advisor or anybody touching that money. And they're easy to also track. So like, let's say if one school decided to participate, then in that school, the cool thing is the, let's say the wrestling team, the basketball team, or any other club can have a separate account. And then what happens is they can clearly see who's out there sharing the app, and then that fund will come to them, the school, but then they can disperse it to the kids who are sharing the most. So it's easy to track. So closing, I would like to request that you help me help our students and our hardworking advisors and coaches to raise funds without the selling. All right, it's called Fire Fan. And so that way, maybe in the future, they won't have to come to you, these groups, and request funds, all right, for their programs. And then also, I know a lot of schools are having to start to pay to play, and I would hate to see our students do that because they're already strapped for money. But again, there's 1 million already pre-registered, and so once that app is downloaded, what's going to happen is they can't download it with somebody else. And so there's an urgency this week because it's downloading, like I said, in the App Store this week. And then what happens is Thursday, when there's all those football games, our funds can be generated through the people just having fun with their families. And so that's basically how it works. So I ask that you add my request to here as an emergency item today. All right, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. And so thank you for your time.
I'm a little slow, but I don't get it, Vicki. I don't get how, if everything's free, how is the money being generated?
That's a good question. These advertisers are just biting at the bit to get into the advertising part because on TV now, people do not watch the ads. They fast forward it. They just don't watch TV ads anymore. So what happens is there's ads like there'll be Starbucks, McDonald's, Mercedes, BMW, McDonald's, Sears, Allstate. They are paying to advertise on this app. So what happens is they are providing the revenue.
So every time the app is downloaded, how much would our schools get?
It's like 10% of the advertising revenue. So let's say if it was, $1 or something for somebody, they'd get 10 cents. And then, so those 12 tokens would generate roughly $1.20. And so it just adds up over time. And then what happens is when people will watch those commercials, the companies, not the United Games Company, but the advertisers will supply the funds, for the nonprofits. That's where the money is being generated from, the advertisements.
So because it's so new, you don't have any historical data on how much other schools have made or other
No,
nonprofits
because,
have made?
no, and it's like something that can be, downloaded as, quickly, and it can be taken off quickly. So if it's something doesn't work out, you just unload the app and you don't have to participate. But I look at it as even if, you have $60, it's more than you had to begin with. So over time, they do say that the average share, when people start sharing that app, like you see all over, then what happens is the average share is 7. So you can imagine that if, let's say, the band had 100 students, and they each went out and got 10 family and friends to download that app, well, now you have, 1,000. And then if those people shared with 7, which is the industry average, that's 7,000. So you can see very quickly as it virals it out. And they really do expect this to bypass Pokemon's downloads, in a matter of hours when it comes out. So that's how it is, just everybody doing just a little bit, and then it generates a lot of money over time. There's no guarantee, but that's the potential.
I'm a firm believer in things that are too good to be true, usually are, so I think instead of reinventing the wheel, maybe we could have Mr. Douglas get with Ms. Roach in the IT department and just research any other school districts that may have done this across the nation, because it sounds very good, but, I just don't know how, being vendors, Sandy Scranton would know more about that, if this is not an approved vendor, and what if they put advertising that's not appropriate to students, and what guarantees are there? I don't know that. I just know that I looked at putting bus advertising on school buses years ago, and it was very lucrative, but the state outlawed that, so I don't know.
Well, I do know that that last night, the app was supposed to download, but they do continue tweaking with it. And again, it's family-oriented, and there's no documentation because it's just coming out, but they are unique they're the only, gaming that is offering nonprofits this opportunity.
Well, I got a grandson that lives on that thing, so
Yeah, the EAS sports, which died Madden football, my son played it on the way to school this morning, and he was asking me all kinds of math questions, actually, about the football field and things. So this is the developer of it. So rest assured that, we've been rest assured that it is family-oriented. There's no other school district because it's just coming out.
Yeah, Sandy, did you have a question?
Yes, and you said it's interactive.
Yes.
Like for Sunday's game, the Jaguars are playing. You saying that I could interact possibly win us a game?
Yes, what happens is in the beginning, yeah. Yeah,
Now, you told me not to get you in trouble laughing.
I couldn't miss.
yeah, you can be a
couldn't pass
star.
that one
You'll be
up.
the star.
Yeah.
But you're right, yeah, you make, like who's gonna win and things like that, but there's never any cash involved, you know, so it's, you know.
So there is
It's a fun
betting?
thing.
No, there's no betting, there's no cash, there's no betting, it's just like who's gonna win and, you know, things like that, and, there's no cash whatsoever involved, no.
Okay, the board attorney would like to say something.
Yeah, I just was gonna add that this matter came to me last week, and, you know, I don't think that I'm in or you're in a position to judge that a donut fundraiser is better than a
Right.
candle fundraiser. We just have to make sure that everything is in accordance with board policy. And there are some questions that came up about board policy 5830, which says that contracts with vendors shall limit the percentage that private companies may earn from school-based fundraising involving students to 50% of the total profit. I don't know how we verify that the school is receiving 50% of the total profit. If that's something you'd be able to speak to.
Well, there's no really, like I said, profit, to me, you have to be paying something, and we're not paying anything, it's all free, because the advertisers are paying for the opportunity to get their message out to you, to us, and so there's no profit really, because we're not paying anything, it's completely free. There's no monthly fee, there's nothing. And so I think technology in the classroom has changed things, and now I think it's caught up with fundraising. You know, so they just, like I said, she's got her heart, this owner of this company, that she was the coach for 14 years, and she just wants to do best for the students. And, you know, try to get them the things that they need that we can't buy, so they can, I know at my school, they volunteer to coach for free. And so,
Yeah,
It appears to me that they're not even gonna become a vendor. This is all something done after hours off their personal phones,
Yeah.
right?
correct, yeah.
So they would not have a contract with us, they would just be making a donation to us? Is
There-
that what it is?
If,
There is
yes,
there's a
if,
contract that they've submitted
Yep.
to us for
Oh,
approval.
there
yeah,
it
there's a
is.
contract, but there's no money going out, you know what I'm saying? And the people would download it on their own time, on their own computer, or own cell phones.
And I would just add too, I saw something where it looks like maybe eventually the goal of this is to take it from a professional sports team level down to a school level, so that people in the crowd would be able to make a bet on how many strikeouts there would be at a high school baseball game or something like that.
No, they would not do that. They do have college games coming out next fall, but it would not be, there's no betting whatsoever. This is not betting.
Not betting in the sense of money being put on the table, but clicking
What are the interactions?
a button to say a prediction or
Yeah,
something
the
like that.
predictions, like they said, you can, you know, how many are they going to go ahead and pass or something? You know, are they going to complete the pass? Are they going to punt, pass, or kick? That type of predictions. But it's not, I've never heard anything with high school, no, and nothing with that at all. But college, they're talking about, yes, next college. So you can imagine when the Super Bowl is played in January, February, whenever it is, you know, the schools just have an opportunity to invite people to play with them, and then what happens is it would be funds for them.
And that's a good question about, are they a vendor or not a vendor for the technical definition, because it does matter for another board policy, 3214, about receiving compensation from a vendor after a decision has been made to purchase services from the vendor. And the student fundraising part of it. I didn't feel comfortable enough just reading the policies. That's why I asked for the presentation to be made for the board, because I think it's really their decision on how to handle kind of a more unique, new type of a fundraising introduced to the district.
Well, I heard you say purchasing, but again, there's no purchasing going on because it's free. You know, the part you just read, did you say purchasing? But there will not, I want to reiterate, there's no purchase with this.
I understand it could be read that way, but I think the board, in essence, or the district would be giving a blessing on a type of an app And so we would be offering up, students to the advertisers coming through the app. And there is some type of a relationship that they won't memorialize in a contract. So it's just tough. And so that, I'm not trying to be the one to make the decision. I'm saying I just
But
would
you've
appreciate
got
that
to
the
advise
board would be
us.
fully advised, and then the board can make a decision based on what they choose as, in the best interest.
I guess you kind of even do the analogy that years ago, you'd send and adults are downloading this app. The kids do it on their own time with their parental permission, that's another thing, but none of these would be downloaded at the schools itself. Now, I know in the past, kids were given these lists, go out and get 10 names, and then we'll, invite them to order these magazines. Well, there's some real smutting magazines too, you know what I'm saying? So you can't really control everything like that. But it was a fundraiser that, was sent out. But this, like I said, will be mainly for adults, and the children would just like they would go sell a candle to an adult. They're not going to sell them to kids. So that's where the majority, of the players will come from, is the adults or the family
Is there
and
no
friends.
one we can talk to that has used this before, or is it brand new?
Well, like I said, I can give you the company's number and name, and you can check with them because there's an entire division, and nonprofits are the only ones that can be compensated at this time. So yes, you can call I'll give you the number, and then you could call the company and talk to the non-fundraising department themselves, and they could probably clarify, anything else that you had.
So, I mean, the lady, the coach that started this, I mean, she obviously is not just in it to help nonprofits. She's in it to make money herself.
Well, yeah,
correct?
she's got a business background too, but it's funded by an investor.
Okay.
Okay, and a very wealthy one, because he's the only investor. So yes, no, it's a company, and like I said, they have plans to be interviewed on Good Morning America, all the morning talk shows once it hits the app stores, and so you'll hear more about it as it gets, virally out in the community.
And how did you find out how did you get involved?
Just a friend was telling me about this, and because she knew we liked sports, and I said, sure, I'll go ahead and pre-register, and so that was back in August, and then as I learned more about it, the fundraising part came up, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me, this is awesome, because I know how hard the last 30 years, watching the educational coaches working for nothing and working for peanuts, and, selling things, and then they're out at Walmart begging for money, so that gets really old for employees, and they have the job to do, like trying to teach our kids, so that would give them their time back that they also need.
What does the contract ask of us as a district in a nutshell? Can you tell us, kind of sum up, what does the contract want us to do? I mean, by signing it, what are we saying? What are we committing to?
Nothing really.
I mean,
Well-
I'm just asking.
All right, in Section 6D that I pointed out in the email, they say that they will hold nonprofits harmless against claims and liabilities for expenses, so there is, and at any time, you can, get out of the contract. It states that clearly in the contract, but they talk about where you would be harmless for any liabilities and expenses. And it goes on to some more, but, so basically, so there's the liability that they said you're held harmless for. Is that what you meant?
I'm just trying to see
Yeah.
if we don't sign it, then it doesn't go forth. It can't happen in our district. Is that?
Well, this is how, this is how it is. There's some groups already just biting at the bullet. They've already got started, because we had the verbal, and then it got squashed last week with Mrs. Criswell. And so what happens is they just pre-register for free, and like, let's say they would just go ahead and put their group into the system approves them to make sure they're a tax-exempt identity, and that's all there is to it. And there was nothing signed at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? They could just do that, and then, like I said, it's a month-to-month thing.
So you yourself are not going to receive any monetary,
No, I'm not an advisor or coach, so I would not be compensated, directly from any of that.
And Vicky, so like booster clubs that are affiliated, like they can go ahead and sign up, correct?
Well, yes,
It's like the contract, I mean, I think it's like, okay, we're establishing we're a 501c3, and that's basically what the company, to keep their integrity, that we're giving back to nonprofit. So we have contracts that say these are actual nonprofit, real,
they have to make sure they're real, right,
exactly.
exactly.
And I feel like that's the point of that contract, because, so you could have the booster club, the football, the softball, whatever. I mean, I don't see why it has to be under school board necessarily. I think it's just the keeping their focus is we give back to 501c3s or we give back to nonprofit. So the point is they want a contract that says you're going to take that money and give it to a nonprofit, and you're signing an agreement that says you're part of this program, but there's no obligation to go, you got to add 20 players, or, you know, basically anybody that has Facebook, you have friends that play Facebook and they say, come play this game because they want coins. And I
Exactly.
feel like that's kind of the same type of thing, whether I personally do play whatever those Candy Crush, and people bug me about games. I feel like it's the same thing, but I don't know why it would have to be linked to
Putnam County Schools.
right. I mean, and there's nothing on it that says you could say, hey, sign up for this app and we get money back to our soccer team. I mean,
Right,
that's,
so the Booster Club could advertise it. I mean, how do you plan to get the information out so all of our all of our clubs and organizations know about it?
Well, here's an example. I was just out doing my morning errands about a week ago, and lo and behold, here's the poor little wrestling team washing cars on the corner by Taco Bell. So pulled in there, just talked to him, and said, hey, you know, just got talking to Jeremy, one of my former students, and just got talking to him, and so I said, are you open to any more fundraisers? Do you need help? And he goes, I said, what are you trying to raise money for? And that's how it started. And then I know Interlochen is also interested. And so that's all it is. I think it's a very, very simple process. I mean, it's nothing that's going to bind us to anything. I do know that there's an option that allows you to play with your favorite sports, you know, celebrity, like Joe Theismann's involved, Vinny Testaverde, Drew Brees, Brian Urlacher, some old-timers now I know, Deion Sanders, Emmett Smith, Shaq O'Neal, because they'll be writing NBA or adding NBA. And so there is an option to be invited or invite people to play with them also, and then what happens is the school will create funds from that too.
I agree with the superintendent that we need to not sit here and try to just invent the wheel. Let's just go ahead and look at who else might have done it. Mr. Douglas, get in charge with them if this is beneficial and it complies with board policy, or if we find out it leads to no advertising that is counterproductive to young children, or it is not a prelude to gambling, then, you know, looks like it might be something that we would be interested in. But I don't think we have enough information to make an
I'll
appropriate
give you this
decision on
copy
that.
too, why it's not gambling, so if you would like to just take one.
and
of-
one quick
yeah.
question for the board attorney. Is it possible that weightlifting coach has got the ability to sign that contract for his weightlifting team? I mean, do
I
we
don't
have,
I don't think so, because the policy is written broadly, so the district is charged with protecting students, even if it's, you know, outside of school hours. If we're entering into a contract with a company that we are giving our stamp of approval for, there is some duty that we would have as, or you would have as a board to vet them, to, I think, do as Mr. Buckles has stated, and the superintendent, to find out from others what their experience is, and make sure that just do the due diligence.
okay.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Sandy.
was just gonna say, and it will, even if we don't get in on the remainder of this NFL season, with them adding, I think you said the NBA coming in, so is there a possibility that once the research has been done, we can then get our district, our parents, our students involved?
Okay, it's a big world out there, and yes, there's going to be lots of people still that have not heard about it, but you got to understand that once this is downloaded on any of our apps, it cannot be downloaded to Putnam County Schools. We will not benefit from them, okay? Because I'm not trying to say that, oh, we got to do it, and then oopsie later on. This company has done their research, You know, and if this board does not have the money to, you know, sometime, you know, if the band needs a $40,000 for this, 40,000, here's an option for us to go ahead and do what's good for Putnam County Schools. And I understand that you have to be careful, I understand fully. You know, but I just think this is a great opportunity for us to provide, you know, another fundraising option for these kids.
Well, even if we didn't enter in a contract, it's just like any other game. Those kids could, you know, those groups could go out and do it.
And I guarantee
their
you,
own, right?
I guarantee they will, and then what
Yeah.
happens is you will not have them to be downloading yours because they already downloaded it. So it's kind of like the Bill Gates, you know, when he started his company, what were the story is, I don't know, 4 people in the garage, and some of them said, yeah, let's go for it.
The boosters.
So,
I mean, I certainly recognize the importance of timely response. And time is of the essence, so we will
Yeah.
get on this as soon as possible.
Well, you know, this is a month-to-month lease agreement. That's all it is, lease. It's a month-to-month agreement. So we're not committing ourselves to any period of time here. And time is of the essence. Perhaps we can go ahead and, it's not a big contract, it's just gobbledygook, normal gobbledygook.
Well, it
And-
is month to month, but if they take you for 6 months and then they take you work out and you get 200,000 people lined up in this deal, theoretically, then they decide, well, we can make more money if we'll drop them, they're gonna stick with us anyway. I mean, I just would like to hear from somebody else, and it's not, I mean, we could have an emergency meeting if there's that much potential to make $40,000 a year. You come back when Mr. Douglas finds out and then report back to us, we can all come and,
What's the deadline, Vicki?
well, there's no deadline, but the advantage is, you know, it launches this week, so when these 1 million already pre-registered share with their friends and they just start growing on virally, we've seen it all with all the games online, that there are 3 games on Thanksgiving Day and they get these 12 free tokens, well, they're going to use those tokens. And I'm not saying there's any guarantee to make $40,000, but all I'm saying, it doesn't cost you a dime. And so, you know, as long as it's within
Any profit we make.
any profit's better than nothing. And so that's my, you know, idea that this could help people. And if it doesn't work out, you're not out anything because you didn't pay a dime. You know, I'm talking about the organizations or the clubs where, you know, I just saw something in the copy the other day that, oh, you had to commit to sell so many candy bars and you were responsible if you lost those candy bars. Well, there's nothing like this. It's just free.
well, the
So-
majority of the board can do what the majority of the board wants to do.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve the contract as is and have Mr. Douglas
You're
continue.
gonna have to add this as an emergency item and do it then, or
Okay.
you could deal with that emergency item now, I suppose, but you do have to
Go into
add it.
emergency session.
You have to be in emergency session.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
I know you're good.
You did good, you just put us in the emergency session.
Right.
Okay, we're now in emergency session.
And we're still considering this contract. I would like to go ahead personally and make a motion that we approve it. It's a month-to-month contract. I don't see anything ominous. We don't have to pay anything. It can only bring our clubs in money. And then we still can do our due diligence. And if we find something that we don't like or that the attorney advises us to get out of this, we 15 days notice and we're out of it.
Okay, I'm still concerned though that no one else other than the wrestling team in Interlochen is gonna know about this. How are our other FFA and Key Club and all these other places gonna?
I personally have shared with Interlochen boosters also, and so my off hours in between, you know, running grandkids and everything else, I've shared with the various Interlochen, Palaca now knows about it, and so just word of mouth, and then the teams themselves can share with other coaches in the school.
And they know all about how to get the little code and to do,
They will after, you know, like I said, I've respected Mrs. Criswell's request, so I have not done that in the last week or so, 10 days, about a week, I guess. And so now that, if we get the green light, yeah,
I'll
I'll
be talking to the folks in South Putnam as well.
and then the principals at the various schools to get their blessings, and then just go ahead with it and let the coaches that are interested participate. And there's a form that the kids can just take out and commit to get 10 names or whatever the case might be. And then they will just go to the App Store. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow night is when it's going to be available at the Google or the iTunes.
There's a motion on the floor.
I second it. Further discussion, though, is there any, Mr. Attorney, I mean, I guess there's no way to, I mean, we could research it, and if you don't,
We can come back next meeting and say, yeah.
and change it. I feel like if we don't give it a chance to
It's
to
a tough
try.
balance, because there is a time component, there's also a kind of spilt milk component that, once it's out there and
Exactly.
it runs through the district that everybody signed up for, it's gonna be very hard to unring that bell, where we say, oh, never mind.
Can I say something along that line? There's a computer program, or I should say a website that we use, Schmoop at school.
I'm sorry, what's
Okay,
that?
it's called Schmoop. It's a school-approved website that we got for educational purposes. It was a couple years ago. Well, my account got hacked this fall for the filthiest chat you ever saw, and that was school board approved, and we're using it. So I had to take a picture of it and show it to Mr. Lennon here in the district. So even our best laid plans, sometime school board approved, things happen. And so then there's still some little commercials that pop up on that Schmoop that's like, whoa. I just don't think, in my personal opinion, but sometimes mine doesn't count, was appropriate. So, the way it is now, it's supposed to, but even things that the school board has approved or the district has bought in the past, things change. But I don't foresee this happening because they have such a wholesome mission right now. And so I really have, good faith that it's going to be what they say it is, because they've come through with everything they said, so.
This might truly be a good thing, but I will be voting to the negative because I don't feel that we have enough information to guard against the things that she's just spoke of. It's hard enough with our own approved websites to not understand what's coming through an approved website that the board approves. But anyway, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope if you pass it, then we make a lot of money for the kids.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Just for the
Okay,
time
it
being.
passes with a 3-2 vote in the
And
affirmative.
you'll still go ahead with due diligence, please?
Just until after the research.
Yeah, and then we'll meet back again when we find out, Charlie finds out more.
Excuse me, could it be put on the next agenda for discussion, action, and input again, in case we want to just affirm that we're keeping it based on Mr. Douglas's report? The board can then reconsider, but in the meantime, they can be doing it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're out of emergency session.
Yes.
We're now out of emergency session. We are on E, consent agenda. Oh, are there any public comments from anybody else in the public? I didn't receive any cards. Okay. Okay, the consent agenda, do any of the board members want to pull anything?
I had one that I wanted to pull. Let me find it again. It would be G1.
G1? Ms. Gilliard?
None.
Nope.
Ms. Jorgensen?
H3, please.
H3. And I'd like to pull E4, 5, and 6, and M1.
There is no E4,
Oh.
5, and 6.
Well, what is that then?
H.
H, sorry.
H4, 5, and 6.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus G1, H, 3 through 6. And that's all.
And M1.
And M1.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is approved. G1.
Scott, real quick, if you'd come to the podium, I read through this and I looked at the change order that mentions St. Johns County School District, and I just wanted to make sure we're still working on the handshake agreement. Is that correct, Mr. Douglas?
Month to month.
I mean, I know we've been letting the contracts at their request, but I don't want to do anything that binds us any more than we've already been bound.
That's correct.
Okay, that's correct, Scott?
Correct. This is all part of that
Of that
process
same
that they're working on. The
contract.
place was great. I don't know if anybody's been over there lately,
It
but
looks
it
wonderful.
looks amazing.
Is there any work still going on over there?
Yeah, and this is they're kind of just trying to keep the wheels turning. Mr. Taylor's pretty much done with the kitchen cafeteria renovation for the culinary arts program. That's pretty much done. That is out for bid right now. We'll be bringing that GMP change order back to the board once the numbers have solidified, but there was some stuff that they were kind of doing to keep the wheels turning over there. Painting was one. There was some plumbing work that they were doing. There's some additional stuff that's on this change order. This really is to keep the contractor busy until the kitchen work starts.
I
So
appreciate
there are
it.
no classes being held there?
Oh, there are, yes, ma'am. They've got the cosmetology
Okay,
program,
cosmetology.
the nursing program, all that was phase one, if we want to call it that. That work's been completed. Those students have moved into those spaces, and they are having class over there.
Do you know if, and Renee might have to answer this, is she back there? Yes, ma'am. Are any of our high school students dual enrolled in those classes?
No,
No,
ma'am. We have welding
it's not high school, it's adult.
Well, I know, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
and welding.
Well, wasn't that your understanding that we were
No,
gonna?
I know somebody stood there and said that, but my understanding was it was an adult ed facility. That was made very clear. It's adult ed.
It's an adult ed and a student ed program that can be modified to adjust to our school schedules if we have the proper support on the board. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you, Renee. Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we approve G1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? G1 has been approved. The next item was H3, the quarterly investment report as of September 30th, 2016.
I don't know if any of the board members have this in front of them, but we have two investment accounts, basically. One pays 0.51 interest and one pays 0.5.
What, the Florida Community Bank, that's our investment account, and Capital City Bank is just where we have our cash.
Okay, so I understand that, but can we keep more in the investment and less in the cash?
We actually, me and Rhonda just met with an investment company last week, was it? And we are going to move forward to putting more cash into the investments and also at a higher interest rate.
Great, wonderful, because the difference in interest is just, and we're still only at 0.51, a half a percent. But
Right,
that's
but
not,
better than-
that's not 1/20th of a percent like
Right.
the other one is. So that's a considerable difference. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for looking into that, Rhonda and Shannon. I make a motion to approve item H3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? H3 has been approved. The next items are, the next item is number 4, United Healthcare Insurance Rates for 2017, 2018. Who would like to speak to that? Just a little explanation, please, to the public, how we got those rates, the increase, and Danny may want to come up. I know it said a 9.9% across the board, but, and you know I'm not a math person, because mine went up 36%.
Exactly.
I don't understand.
The overall rate went up by 9.9%, but since the school board's not kicking in additional funds, this budget year has been set, and y'all approved $450 a month toward the employees' health insurance, $4,500 a year, then that leaves the employee to pick up the whole increase, and different plan ranges that shows anywhere from, 15 to 50 or whatever. I don't have it in front of me, but different people on different plans absorb the whole cost of their increase, and that's where the different rates come in.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, I noticed in our email that there's going to be an emergency insurance meeting
This Wednesday.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Is that going to affect how we vote?
It's not gonna affect anything on this plan because to my understanding, the purpose of that meeting is, to look at a different proposal where, the people on Plan D had the largest increase of costs, but they're the ones with the lowest claims. And they were wanting to see if we could provide some type of equity so that we provided more to the people on Plan D and less to the people on Plan C. However, I did inform them that that would involve negotiations also, so it's a meeting to talk it all through. Bush did come up with, he's got a spreadsheet and a scenario, and I've in turn done worst-case scenarios on if people, because if the rate suddenly for Plan C jumped up to what's being proposed at that emergency meeting tomorrow, everybody's gonna move down to Plan D, and so that would affect, what that savings might possibly be to the district. Because it was all in the effort of saving money for the district that the insurance committee could then have in a reserve fund and make plans in the future on what to do with that. And it is a good proposal that's out there, but, you know, knowing the insurance and knowing how over the years, anytime you, change something and make the rates for one go up significantly, people are gonna go down to the other plan. And, you know, I would be fine in the district if we only had one plan. A lot of districts do that, but we have these options here.
So
But,
like have C and,
C or D only, whether it was high deductible. You know, we had 4 plans recently, and a couple of years ago, we got rid of Plan A and Plan B, and now we only have C and the high deductible. I'm still using the old terms. Now they're
right.
AHKO and HJC instead of C and D, but.
Well, I mean, would that be this may not be the time to discuss it, but if that would be a savings, I mean, surely your
It would be a
insurance committee.
savings if everybody stayed where they are. If we contributed more to the Plan D and less to the people on Plan C, yes, it would result in a significant savings. But as soon as you contribute more to D, and that would have people on Plan C, their rates doubling, people are gonna move. They'll do the math and they'll see that with the difference in cost, that they could put enough into their
That's not fair to the people
HSA.
on C.
Well, and that's what, you know, we've said all along, and the purpose of it is that people on Plan D see that they're being penalized and their percentage increase is more than the people on Plan C, even though they had better claims. And the reason for that is that when you absorb an increase, if your rates are lower and you've got an increase, then your percentage because you look at the total increase divided by the current rate, and that's how you get your percentage increase. So that's
How many employees do we have on Plan D?
Hold on just a second, I've got that in front of me. Okay. On Plan D, employee only, we have 325. We have 5 on employee children, 6 on employee spouse, and 6 on family. On Plan C, we have 710 employee only, 16 employee children, 25 employee spouse, and 6 family. And then, of course, on Plan C retirees, we have 148, and on Plan D retirees, we have 12. So,
Would this, regarding the changes, if this occurs, and you're talking about there may be an exodus where everybody will go gravitate to D, will that window still be there and the information get out in a timely manner to allow these people the opportunity to get in there and make that change?
If we have that meeting Wednesday, and the insurance committee, there's a committee of 8, make the recommendations that we make changes.
So
We
this
would
will
bring it
get
back to the
all of
board, and
the-
we would have to open up the period for open enrollment longer.
Right, that's what I was concerned about. Okay.
We would have to give everybody a chance to, because if that does go into effect, then you would see a lot of migration, myself included. I would go down from C to D.
Too.
But there was another question on how we got to these rates. So we do have Danny here if you want him to address the 9.9% increase, or?
Sure.
Okay, so we ended up in the end with a 86% loss ratio. That's not good. Last year at renewal, we had about a 73% loss ratio when we were moving from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And everybody remembers that we got a relatively significant rate increase from Blue Cross. The insurance committee voted to move to United Healthcare. After we had moved to United Healthcare, I went back and negotiated a 2-year rate cap. And it was based off of our loss ratios, because there were some comments made on the board last year. I think Mr. Wright had said that some of these insurance carriers will come in and buy it low, and then next year they're gonna make their money back. So with that comment, I went back to United Healthcare. They gave us a 2-year rate guarantee, is what it's called. And basically it means depending on our loss ratio that comes in, our rate increase won't go above a certain amount. And that keeps them from buying the business and hitting us the following year. There was a caveat in there that if we had any claims in one certain month that went over $500,000, they could pull that rate guarantee off of the table. And we did have claims that went over $500,000 in 1 month. And I went back to United Healthcare and they agreed to keep the rate cap in place even though it happened. So I believe they're trying to be a long-term carrier, a long-term partner with us. They not only held at the 9.9% rate increase with the 86% loss ratio. After we negotiated the 9.9% increase, they came back to us and offered about a $75,000 wellness program up to the school district. So we kind of got 3 plans in place right now to try and turn this around. For years, we've been putting Band-Aids on rate increases, and we need a long-term program. So we've kind of got 3 steps to it. This year, we started with a wellness questionnaire that was a little bit difficult at times to get filled out and get back to us, but we did get it done. We got about 75 to 80% of the group to fill out the questionnaire. We've already started making strides with some of these folks losing weight, getting off diabetic medications, and this is before we've even put any programs in place. After the wellness questionnaire, we wanted to put some long-term wellness programs in place. United Healthcare has offered this. It's kind of a cutting edge. No other carrier does this type of program, so when they offered it up to us without charging us for it, I thought it was the perfect opportunity. So that will help us now start to move into a long-term goal to get people healthy. I'm gonna have the Vice President of the state of Florida of United Healthcare come and do a presentation for you guys on how this program works. He's gonna bring out some of the toys and you know, his whole presentation for us, so we'll set that up in the next couple months, or the next couple meetings. As well, we set up a new retiree program this past year for the 65 and above retirees. It gives them a lot more choices for benefits than they've ever had before. Matter of fact, if anything, we had more issues with them. This was too good to be true. They have more benefits on health, dental, vision choices. They actually can get pet care. They can get IT support. They can get all this stuff. It's through the retiree consortium that's built mainly only of school districts in the state of Florida. So it is built specifically for state employees with a $150 retirement benefit that they get. There are plans that start at almost zero and then go up. What that also does for us, though, as a long-term goal for our employees, is it takes those employees off of our claims. So they are now on their own pool of claims. So it takes however many 65-plus retirees that we had, and it shifts them to make a much better selection for them, much better choices, much better programs. And also it helps our employees by removing their claims issues. So I feel that next year, since those claims will be coming off of what our 86% that we're seeing right now, loss ratio, that we are starting to work in the right direction. Obviously, we know wellness takes time. Nobody loses weight overnight or loses diabetes overnight. But I do believe we've put three programs in place over the last year that are really starting to take us in the right direction.
Okay.
Okay?
Is there anybody here from the insurance committee that would like to say anything? Paul?
Yeah, there's only a couple of things that I'd like to point out about the Plan C and Plan D. And one thing is, for every dollar that got put out for Plan C in premiums, $1.04 went out. So we'll never make money like that. Plan D, for every dollar that went out in claims, in premiums, 32 cents went out. So that's the reason. I think, Rhonda was saying that it might drive people to Plan D, and I don't know anything about the thing that Mr. Bush has to show, but I think that if it drives people to Plan D, that might not be such a bad thing, because the utilization of the plan, so that would be, the point that I'd like to make first. The second point is, we got all this information extremely late. And I hope that this never happens again. We should have gotten this information back in September. I do realize that United Healthcare had a thing that they wanted to wait till September 30th. So it seems like we should have got it 1st of October. So getting it November what was the date? November the 14th, I believe, was our meeting. That's extremely late. We should have been halfway through the open enrollment period. And that's the only thing I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I'll say something to that real quick, so that you know why it took to September. In that 2-year rate guarantee that I negotiated into the first year renewal, they had to have 9 months worth of claims. So they're starting out with 0, and the first month's claims were nothing, and then the second month's claims started to build. They wanted 9 months worth of claims to do the rate guarantee. So I blessed the 9 months worth of rates. It's kind of difficult for them to give us a full year's renewal without having enough claims under their belt. Obviously, if we had 20 years worth of claims under our belts, or even 2 years worth of claims. So next year, that won't happen. We won't be waiting until October or November to get this
Okay.
done. We should
Well,
have it by
that's good.
September.
Danny, it takes a month and a half to turn that around?
Yeah, when we start negotiating, yeah, we can release the rates as soon as we get them. So there's nothing hidden there. We can release the 9.9, and I've tried to release the 9.9 as quickly as possible. There were some rumors going around that I was holding the rate increase due to election stuff that was going on. That was not it. We did not have final rates to release to the group until that 9th month came through. And to be honest, it came through at a 14.72% rate increase. And we negotiated it to a 9.9, but if we didn't have the 2-year rate lock, it may have been 30% because of the claims our claims continued to escalate there at the end. So it was good that they didn't hold us to the $500,000 caveat. So again, I think we're moving in the right direction with the wellness program and the retiree program, and we'll see how this plays out next year. But we do get monthly claims in, so we'll monitor them as we get the claims ratios in monthly. Thank you.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve item H4.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? H4 has been approved. Okay, H5 and 6, the personnel allocation changes. Debbie, you don't even really need to come up here, and I just want to say, I have such a hard time understanding these things in the order that they come in. It looks as if the most recent is at the end, and then you go back. I just want to sit down with you sometime and maybe let's look at, I know this is the way it's always been done.
I do allocations.
Oh, you do the allocation? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was personnel. I'm sorry. Is this just the way it's always been done? Okay.
They just keep a change order log, so this is like change order number 10, so it, personally, I don't think she should send every change to each one, only show the most current one.
Right.
But they will be at the end, because the auditors like to look at the progression of changes. throughout
Okay,
the
and I
year.
know other counties do it in other ways. I just would like to sit down sometime and maybe see if we can streamline it, and make it a little bit easier, not just for me, but for everybody that looks.
Talk to me, and I'll get Andrew to sit in with us, and we'll.
Okay, okay. And Debbie, I apologize. I don't know why, I guess I saw personnel and I thought staff services. I apologize. Okay, will somebody
Make a motion to approve item H5
Second.
And 6.
and 6.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve item H6.
Sorry.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5 and 6 have both been approved. Okay, M1. Let's look at M1, and this is the, district digital plan. Alice?
It's not just me.
Well, this was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Oh, my gosh. I know
A lot
y'all.
of people involved in the planning.
Yes, there are. Has this already been submitted
Yes, it's been submitted to DOE, and then they review it, and they also want our board to approve it.
Okay, well, there were just a couple of little technical English teachery kinds of things that I'll
Okay.
sit down with you, and a couple of terms that are outdated that, I just want to make you aware of. So, whenever you've got a minute, I'd like to sit down with you.
Sure.
It's just
would be
in
great.
my blood. I cannot help it.
Well, and part of that is it's a template, and it
Right.
has
I-
been reviewed by everyone, but
I
I'll be
figured
happy
that,
to
but I
meet-
just want to congratulate you and your department and whoever worked on this, because it's amazing. I mean, I would not be able to do this.
I was ready for technical questions and.
Oh, no, you won't get those from
Okay,
me.
not a problem.
You won't get
But
those from me.
I'll be happy to sit down with any of you and explain, where the IT department is going. For the first time, we're working very closely with curriculum and instruction and looking at
It's
needs. and
wonderful, because that's
kind
where
of-
everything's going.
Exactly, that's very exciting for all of us.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you,
well,
Job
Allison.
well done.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
that. I make a motion to approve item M1.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? M1 has been approved. So now do we go
Do we
back?
have any emergency
Discussion, new
items?
business.
Are there any other emergency items? No, okay. So now we are discussion of old business.
And there is none.
There is no old business. Now Q is discussion of new business, and the first item under new business is discussion, input, and action on our budget amendments for September 2016. And Rhonda, would you like to come up, dear?
Oh, she'd love to.
These are the first budget amendments for the year because, of course, the budget didn't get approved until September. So there were some moving around of schools and departments' monies a little bit, but the main thing I'll talk about is the increase in the budget. You'll always see every month a couple of our charter schools get PICO funds. And the state sends the money, and it's a capital fund, so you'll see the revenue coming in to capital. And then we have to transfer it to operating to pay out to the charter schools. So you'll sort of see like a duplication under number 1, general fund. You see that charter school revenue transferred into the general fund, and then we pay it out to the charter school. Then we had a backpack program donation from the Rotary Club of $326. In the special revenue fund, we got a new grant, District Instructional Leadership and Faculty Development Grant, so that brought in $26,273. And usually by the time we get our budget set, we haven't got approval on a lot of the special revenue funds like Title I and IDEA, so we have to go ahead with the budget and get it submitted, and then as the new grants come in, they have to come in as a budget amendment to increase the budget. So you'll see under number 5, special revenue fund, we had $8,668,969. The IDEA Part B K-12 entitlement was $2.6 million. Migrant and seasonal farm workers, $145,000. The Carl D. Perkins Career Tech Ed, $163,000. The School Improvement Grant, $1,045,000. Title II Part A Teacher and Principal Training, $770,000. And Title I School Level Allocations, $3,894,000. So this is just all grants that came in after the deadline date of our budget adoption. And then in the internal services, that's going to be your NEFRET grants, same scenarios. They came in after we had adopted the budget, so they had new grants of $4,553,461, including the Fiddlers, IDEA Part B, the IZARDS, the IDEA Part B discretionary, virtual curriculum marketplace. That's the Institute for Small and Rural Development, IZARD. Fiddlers, Associate Centers, General Appropriation, and Connecting Kids to Coverage Cooperative Agreement. So that was a total increase of $4.5 million into the internal service funds. Any questions on any of them?
No, ma'am.
Thank
No.
you.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve item Q1.
I'm second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So Q1 has been approved. Q2 is OPAGA, the Florida District Assessment, for 2016, 2017, under the fearless leadership of Mr. Travis Weaver. Does anyone have any questions they would like, and you know I'd be remiss in not saying what an awesome job. I read this report. It
Did you
was,
revise it for him?
he did really well this time.
This time,
She didn't have to.
It was just enthralling,
the
Yeah,
English
I'm
teacher.
sure.
enthralling reading.
And it's up here for input and discussion just because the statutory requirement for the availability for the public to address any issues as well. I really don't have any further input other than what's there, but it just is a statutory requirement.
And
I
we
was-
do this every year.
I was looking forward to a paragraph by paragraph synopsis of each main idea of the
Yeah.
paragraph.
I provided that to you, so.
I make a motion to approve item Q2.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Okay, now comes the fun time for our board reports. I'm going to start with Ms. Jorgensen.
Okay, first thing I'd like to talk about is Interlochen High School's culinary arts program. I'm telling you what, Chef Tyson is a saint. Those students come to St. Andrew's Episcopal Church every Wednesday and feed hot meals to 50 to 60 low-income people. They cater things for churches and nonprofits and just, this was the best. They did a fundraiser for the band. The band sold pies at $10 each, and the kids cooked them from scratch. I was there learning how to make a pie. It was really cool. But they sold hundreds of these pies.
Wow.
Hundreds. The kids went out and raised money for the band. So I thought that was really, really nice. Also, the library department, Putnam County has angels on trees, and they're asking that you pick up one or two and buy a book. These are kids in foster homes, and we're just trying to get books out there for the little ones. So if you're around the library and you can, stop in and then go get a book for a little angel or three. Our FSBA conference is next week, and I'm looking forward to it. I urge all the board members to go for the entire week, Mr. Buckles, as it's really, really, really good. You really learn about not only how to be a board member, but so much new stuff comes out every year.
Don't say it, don't say it.
So many new laws change, etc. So I think everybody should go. Plus, we have our mandatory ethics training on Friday of that week, and that you have to do once a year. I'm looking very much forward to our workshop on December 6th at 1 o'clock.
That was canceled,
Was it
postponed.
postponed? Okay. When is it postponed till, or do we not know?
I'm not, you guys will need to set it.
We really need to, was that the
Yeah.
technical school
Yes.
stuff?
Yeah.
Hey, we need to, Ms.
First
Cummings
of the
couldn't
year.
be here for that meeting, and I had requested that we go ahead and move it so she could be here because she had some very strong feelings about some certain things. So anyway, we need to pick a date as early as possible in January.
First January meeting, I would say.
That would, I mean, that would be good for the board to,
What's the date?
we could.
January what?
And we may need a couple of hours to take care of that.
17th. Why don't we have it on the 10th, January 10th?
Well, and
And
I,
then
Yeah,
there's no
that way-
board meeting, it's
Yeah.
just the
We can
workshop.
stay as
Let's
long as
just
we
do
need
that.
to.
Tuesday
It's
before
that
the meeting.
important that we really need
I
to not
agree,
leave out.
I agree, so it'll be just the workshop on First Coast
Good
Technical
idea.
Institute.
the
On
only
10th.
thing is, I would say that Ms. Huff and she's gonna have some tech support teachers and that they're gonna have to have substitute teachers, that if we wouldn't wanna start in the morning, if she's gonna.
For the afternoon, so that we don't have to be
Which-
subs for half day, I believe.
Right, and that's kind of why I was also trying to consider teachers and enrollment, because they're trying to do a lot of second semester enrollment. I felt like January we'd have a more concise overview of the whole program, and they're walking out the door. They don't want to know. I don't know, so
You want 1 o'clock?
No, they're good.
1 o'clock on the 10th is,
One's fine.
One's fine.
As long as teachers, I just feel like,
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Professor Gilliard has a
2
prior
o'clock?
appointment, so 2 o'clock would be better for
Two
her.
would be better. Two would be better for me.
That might be better for teachers.
Thank you.
the 10th, is that a planning day? That's the last day of the first semester that we changed because of hurricane days?
January 10th for that technical school. I know Renee Huff will need to be here.
Yeah.
And she and I are at a CTE pathway seminar.
Okay, so that's not gonna work.
So the 17th?
That's the
17th
board
is our
meeting.
board meeting. How about the 12th? Is everybody available generally on Thursdays?
As early as we can do it in January would be helpful to any entities that.
The 12th?
12th is fine with me.
Okay, so January 12th,
So y'all be.
2 o'clock or 1 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
Sandy?
No, the 10th was the only day I was concerned.
So we
with.
could do 1 o'clock on the Thursday, the 12th.
Yes, you can do. This is Thursday.
Now, is this just
Full
for,
moon. I'm kidding.
who's invited to this workshop?
The whole public.
Well, I know
Public
that, I know
also.
that part, but who's presenting?
Now, the superintendent, now that he's been seated, may have some entities that wanting to come, but I'm certain it would be the St. John School District, St. John State College, Renee Huff, and any of her ideas that she may have with the district. So, anyone else that may, Superintendent Cersei.
Nikki's not gonna be here.
I'm sorry, I looked at my calendar. Is there any other date sooner? I am so sorry.
So not the 12th now.
Not the 12th.
And
I
not the
wrote
10th. Okay,
I was out in Nephi
All right.
anyway, board of directors that day.
And when is the conference?
The 10th and 11th,
What's the 9th?
and it's in Tallahassee.
What about the 9th?
9th is fine.
January 9th.
Sounds great to
That's a
me.
Monday. 1 o'clock.
Okay,
January.
is everybody okay with that? Because I've been writing in ink.
yes, me too.
1 o'clock on the 9th.
1 o'clock, okay.
1 o'clock on the 9th. Thank you, that's
Okay.
good.
And
This is
Pam,
the
you do
workshop.
the inviting?
I will, yes, ma'am.
1 o'clock on the 9th. Can't miss that.
Okay. David's providing lunch. Okay. Is that,
Oh, no, thank you. I didn't realize it was, St. Andrew's Church out in Interlochen, if anybody was looking for a nice Thanksgiving dinner, they're serving it free of charge. You don't have to be low income, just looking for somebody to have dinner with. There'll be a bunch of people there. And tonight, there's the Interchurch Council of Interlochen is having a service at St. Andrew's on Highway 20. And it's really nice because it's all the Christian churches together taking part in the service. Okay, Travis Riva, give a shout out to for that long, horrible,
Enthralling,
lengthy, enthralling report. But it was very difficult, and I know that. I've done them, and it was a good job. There's an advocacy institute in Washington DC in January that I'd very much like to go to. It'll be on the board agenda for the next meeting. I would just like to tell them to get rid of the DOE. Laugh. They have enough to worry about without the DOE. We didn't have a DOE when I went to school. And since the federal government got involved, and really, they have enough to worry about without worrying about this. We can deal with this, the states. But anyway, that'll be on the next agenda. Charlie, did we get the $50,000 deposit from those people who expressed an interest in the Campbell Building?
We did not.
Okay, good. That's all I have, thank you.
so they've not had any,
Right, so it's not gonna be a
further-
drug rehab facility, not gonna be.
put your pitchforks up. Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Buckles.
It's my turn?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
randomly
Well,
selected.
thank you so much. I think you've done an outstanding job today as chair.
Yes.
That makes me feel good, keeps me awake, and it's all wonderful. But really, I really have some mixed emotions. I'm going to miss some of the folks that we've dealt with over the years. Ms. Criswell worked with me for a long time and was a very a very involved educator, as is our new superintendent, Mr. Cernsey, who served and worked for me and with me for many years and on a variety of complex issues. And I have a lot of confidence in his ability to lead as well. And Ms. Gilliard, there's no finer human being on the face of the earth than Santa Gilliard. So I look forward to working with her and Rick and I have a head full of knowledge that's really not good for anything but trying to tell you where you can mess up in making school-based decisions. And maybe I can give you advice if you need it. I'll be happy to. And then you make your own choices. So that's all I can do. But I look forward to that. I haven't totally made up my mind on the meeting next week, but I will try to today. And I know Ms. Cummings, you won't make it, will you?
She has a legitimate reason.
Okay, but anyway, it's just, I'll let you know as soon as possible, because I know we would all learn together and we could bond and do some neat things. But anyway, other than that, I look forward.
Slap you.
Hey, we've got some great stuff going on, all these things you hear, we've got some great kids, some wonderful things going on, and I look forward to it being a record year, like the song says. So I'm through.
Ms. Gilliard?
I'm just excited to be a part of an organization that is interested in the betterment of our district as far as making policies. I will be learning. I'm taking to heart everything that has been sent to me from those board members. Tuesday with Tina, acknowledging the fact that I need to remember to stay in my lane, and I'm in the learning mode, and so I'm asking Mr. Buckles to remember, since I am learning, to make sure that the things that he's displaying are those things that would help propel us forward. Beautiful ceremony this morning. I am totally excited. I will be going to the conference, not as a vacation, because as I was looking at the agenda, oh my word. So I'm going to learn so that I can better do the job that you have entrusted me with. Trust me that I don't know everything, and I don't think I want to know everything, but that I need to know, that would help make our district the greatest district it could possibly be. One thing I do want to ask the board is a policy for visiting the schools. I'm still a child at heart. I love sports, I love kids, I love volunteering in the classroom, but I do not want to step out of my lane. I want to make sure that the things that I do are within the guidelines. So the policy and procedures, I do not want to disrupt the learning environment and atmosphere. So, but I do want to be there and to do what I can, but I want to make sure that it's in decent and in order.
You always told me what to do.
I think we
Never
each
said I
have,
could.
I think we each have our own policy about how we do it. I mean, we just bought a new super
Raptor.
FBI, whatever, when you
thing,
go
yes.
in, takes your picture, the whole thing. And I snuck into culinary arts last week when I learned how to make a pie. I just went in.
Okay.
And the principal came in, he said, you need the badge, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, are you kidding? Walk all the way. But it's because they have to know everybody that's in the building at all times.
So even if we have our school board badge on, we still need to go.
And I had my school board badge on.
So it would
So
be.
it's always through the front office.
Okay,
y'all will
would
give her
it
a
be a
badge?
good practice then to give the principal a heads up?
I do.
Hey, I'd like to come
I do.
and visit
That's
your
nice.
school.
I do.
Okay, all right, just for clarification, I want to make sure that, no one gets any calls that I was there and causing an uproar. I just want to
Well, just don't cause
be
an
there.
uproar. You
Okay.
can
That
be
will
there.
happen regardless of what you do.
I just want to be a part of, and
Sounds good. Thank you. Your turn.
I would like to say welcome to Mr. Cernsey and Ms. Gilliard. And
Thank
it's
you.
so nice to have you guys on this side of the desk, and I appreciate all your input. It's nice when we have so many people with such experience. And one passion that Sandra has that I definitely always am very thankful to have as parent involvement and outreach to the community, and I look forward to working with her, and thank you so much, because in the past, I would always love the presentations you would do when you brought the parent up and the kid and all the involvement, and I do appreciate Mr. Stearns, he's the same. It's innovative and it's ideas that I'm excited to hear about, so thank you so much for taking all your time and energy to be involved with these kids' lives, because if we don't change things that we can do, we can't just leave it to other people, unfortunately. So anything that we have as a board that offers, we just always do in the best interest of the kids, and I do appreciate that. And that I do want to make sure that we do address with Ms. Scranton and Mr. Douglas. The Campbell Building sitting vacant, so that does bother me. We're paying money. It's not going in our classrooms, so I think at this point we would have to. I don't know if we only got one realtor, maybe, yeah.
I have one realtor that has responded with
Yeah, it's just something that keeps going every month, and I don't want to keep hounding it, but every time we have a monthly payment of water and electricity, and that's money that's out of the kids.
I have one acceptable bid that did respond, went through the paperwork, filled out every form we asked for, and I will be submitting it to Mr. Surrency to take to the next board meeting.
Perfect.
And so we'll move forward.
Can you tell us who
Awesome.
it is?
It is a firm out of Ormond Beach, Caldwell Banker Commercial Benchmark.
Sounds good.
And all the information, they filled out
Right on.
everything. And they have a list of references that is really nice.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate that diligence, and I do hope that we can move on that quickly, as it does keep seeming to, again, it's with a realtor. We are the seller. We are not the inventor or the
Codes
planning and
enforcement.
zoning board. We are the seller.
So
And I
I
would be
have-
glad to see that on a contract when it says seller by Putnam County Schools name.
So we
Nothing
aren't
else.
crossing any 30-day thresholds. I'm good to go on this, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. I appreciate that. That's all.
Thank you, Nikki. First thing I'd like to do is welcome Mr. Surrency and Ms. Gilliard. I was at the swearing in, investitures, and it was wonderful. It was so sweet. And I was so proud to see them.
You didn't miss
Oh, forgot about David. He came in late. He did make it in time. He came in late. And he cut the fool, which I'm sure everybody expected with the judge.
You were perfect.
I was.
Yes.
But anyway, I'd like, David's been here a while. He knows how I feel about him. I'd like for Ms. Gilliard and Mr. Surrency to know that I'm so glad to be working with them again. They both, were my bosses at different times in my career. You know, they worked very hard to keep me straight and out of trouble, and I appreciate that. And I'm just so looking forward to working with both of you. I will be flying into Tampa from New York City on next Monday to attend I'm going to see my daughter Sloan this time, and to go to the FSBA conference. I always learn so much about so many different things while I'm at that, and hopefully the chairmanship program will help me in my efforts to serve as your chairman for the next year. And I really do encourage Mr. Buckles to come be with us.
Wow, okay.
Well, I
You're the
promised
life
your
of-
wife I'd bug you to dinner.
You're not going?
Just to dinner.
No, I just said you're the life
You
of the
could
party.
save-
You
Everybody
are.
likes
I
you.
mean,
You
I
can
just.
save all that money and give it to a band or something.
Okay.
It's all right.
But you need
But
the
he will,
education.
if he doesn't come until Friday, he will be there Friday to get ethical with us, and, that's the most important part, I guess. It's mandatory.
Take a week.
We have to do that every year, and
You told me you needed a ride back from Tampa because you're flying in from LaGuardia.
I can get it
You
with
wanna
Mr.
ride back.
Surrency or Ms. Gilliard or Ms. Jorgensen. So, I'm very excited by something I've been asked to do. I have never done this. I'm going to moderate a spelling bee at CL Overturf, and I'm a little bit nervous.
I would be
so-
bad at that.
With your
That's
English
good. I would be so
background,
bad
you will be
at
fine.
Well,
Yeah, you're
they
good
sent
at
me the
that.
list of words, and I felt a lot better when I saw them. They're not nearly as hard as I thought they were going to be.
pronounce
Like
them, eh?
yeah, and I've been working on pronouncing them, and you know, knowing their derivatives, and I'm pulling back some Latin and French and that sort of thing. So I'm really excited that I was asked to do that. One last thing, Feed the Need is the president of the Kiwanis that I'm in. That's his major project for the year. It's also the project that Nikki is involved with. So if anybody has the food items that we collect to send home with the children on the weekends, I'm worried about them for Thanksgiving.
It's covered. We got peanut butter and jelly going home for a week.
But no turkeys.
Actually, a lot of schools are doing turkey dinners.
Okay,
The one
that's
Brownie
wonderful.
Pierce has got 30 turkey dinners going home to families.
But if you
which
ever
is
have,
exciting.
you know, some extra peanut butter and jelly and those types of things, you can either give it to Nikki or to me, and I can get it to the right place. Also, Megan Lingle, one of our students at Palatka High School, she's Miss something or other.
Florida Teen Leadership, and she's
Tell them what she's
She's
doing.
chosen Feed the Need as her project. She's collecting, her goal is to collect 10,000 food items by next May for her pageant
yeah.
and project. So she's doing great.
Yes,
Absolutely
and
wonderful.
she's gone around to the civic organizations and has taught. I'm so proud of her. I think
Yeah, it's
it's
amazing.
wonderful.
Very
So
good.
it's very worthwhile. And that is all I have to say about the subject. Board Attorney?
Everything is going well in the legal department.
Okay.
On track.
All right, Mr.
Well,
Superintendent.
you wait, excuse me a minute. You want to talk about, you're gonna have twins? You got
Yeah.
twins coming, Charlie?
Yeah, you talk about that.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
twins.
He's going to be a father to twins in the future,
2
near
for 1.
future.
Good for
Okay.
you. Wow.
You good?
Mr. Superintendent.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank everyone for, everyone that's helped me over the last couple weeks transitioning, and everybody's been so kind. Pam and Sharon have been a very valuable resource, so thank you for everyone who's assisted me along the way. And today's day one, so gonna hit the ground running. I was actually in Tallahassee last week for the Superintendent's Association meeting, and it's kind of shocking. We have 21 new superintendents elected in the state, so there's a lot of turnover. But it's really good. They provide a lot of support. I actually have a mentor superintendent, a veteran superintendent, who's just retiring, so he'll be coming to visit and call, and I'll have somebody I can bounce things off of, so that's very invaluable. Want to mention the board approved today some new allocations. We are going to be restructuring our leadership team, and we've already, approved the positions, and we've transferred some existing personnel in those positions. And we've done that with the idea of trying to be more responsive to all areas of the county. So what we've done is created 3 area director positions for the South, Central, and West, and those people are doing that in addition to their current duties as directors. So we've reclassified the position, and I just want to mention in the South, Ms. Decubellis will be our contact in the South. In the Central will be Helen Muir, who will also be working with elementary, and in the West it would be Tanya Whitehurst, also doing secondary. So my point is, I want someone who spends at least a day in those areas where a principal can call them or they can check in on the schools. It's just somebody from the district that's going to be boots on the ground, and we want to be more responsive. Because during my entire campaign, I kept hearing, district office, never see anybody from the district office. So we want to make sure we're visible and assist them as much as we can. Also, I've appointed 2 assistant superintendents, starting immediately, and that will be Thomas Bowling, who's visiting here from Palatka High School, will be our new superintendent for operations, assistant superintendent for operations. So welcome, Thomas, and we're glad to have you on board. Thomas is a veteran educator, administrator, and couldn't think of any better person to be guiding operations. So thank you, Thomas. And Laura France will be our new assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction. So she's out of town today, but she'll be working closely with us as well. Yesterday, I met with Tanya, Renee, and Pam Brown, met in their office, and we talked about what can we do to improve our graduation rates. And we have a plan in place they've worked hard on, and I needed that information because I spoke to a group of businessmen yesterday from all over Putnam County who are biting at the bit to see our graduation rates improve. And that is a major focus of my administration. I know it has been in the past, but there are opportunities here if we can show some improvement on our graduation rate, not only this year, but in subsequent years. You know, we have the opportunity for business to come in here. And as you saw in the paper a couple of weeks ago, we lost a great opportunity for a housing developer to come in here and build. And his number one thing that ran him off was our graduation rates and our school system. So he said that was a deal breaker. So we've got to really focus on that, have some tangible improvements. And I want to thank the group yesterday, especially Pam came and actually gave a presentation as well. So thank you. And we'll be focusing on graduation rates even more. They're asking us what can they do to help us? And I told them number one thing is they need to provide us their list of vacancies in upcoming years so we can meet their needs in our school system, train people, because the worst thing that's happened, we train kids and they go somewhere else and go to work. So we're trying to have that conversation with our local business community, more so than we've had in the past. But I'm looking forward to working with each of you, especially our board members, and I'm going to be calling you from time to time, just keeping you abreast of what's going on. And I called Jane, she never answered the phone, but I know.
No, because it said, "Hey, Daniel."
I don't know what happened.
She's always,
And I thought maybe he meant to call his son-in-law and called me instead.
she's always on an airplane somewhere.
I know. Well, it's good to be here, and thank you for everything, and looking forward to working with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello?
Well, there's nothing else. Oh, Debbie?
We need to ask for executive session for the December 6th meeting.
Okay.
I need to see John Chastain before you leave in person.
What's that for, Debbie? Is that negotiations?
Prior to, yes ma'am, I need to talk to the board to.
Executive session after the meeting on the December.
Prior to the meeting?
Please, board members be advised.
3, 2:30?
After.
Well, how long do you think it'll take? Okay, so,
After the board meeting on what?
no, before the bad meeting, 2 o'clock, executive session on December 6th.
Okay.
And again, negotiations. Thank you. Did you get that, Pam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, I knew she wanted it.
Debbie, I'm sorry I didn't bring that up. I thought it was, she told me not to say anything about it. I was following orders.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on December 6th, we'll have an executive session prior to that board meeting.
Okay.
Okay, was there somebody else you needed John Chastain?
I'm gonna see him after the meeting.
Okay. Okay, if that's all, this meeting is adjourned.
Yay, you did so
Great.
good.